Daren Hornig, thank you so much for making time to be on the GoTennis podcast. We really appreciate it. And I will start with our first and most obvious question, which is, who are you and why do we care?
Why you care, I don't know, but I'll tell you who I am. I'm Daren Hornig. My background is predominantly in real estate. I own a bunch of real estate and developed a bunch of real estate throughout the country. I had the fortunate opportunity to buy the Port Washington Tennis Academy, which is a renowned tennis academy in Port Washington. The reason it's renowned is it's where both McEnroe brothers played. It's the first academy in the United States. So it's where the McEnroes were trained, played with Tracy Austin, Vitas Geraldine. I bought it from the original owners. And when I bought it, I had the vision of enhancing it and improving it. And we did a very good job, I believe, in doing that. It was 17 tennis courts. Now it's 13 tennis and 12 pickleball, because of the growth of pickleball, which we're all aware of. But one thing I noticed when I bought it is the overall sophistication level and technological levels and marketing that court operators have are not up to par with the rest of the industries out there, particularly real estate, where every square inch is counted and every dollar is, maximized. I didn't say the same sophistication level with racket sports, and I created CourtsApp to bridge that gap and help racket sport owners fill their courts, and help players find courts easily and book courts easily and get out there and play is really the name of the game.
So that also leans in a little bit to the why are you unique question, because this isn't court management. It's not what I would use when I run my club. It's not what Bobby uses to run his club. This is a layer within that helps me do more with what I have, right?
That's exactly right, Shaun. So we have relationships and partnerships with the biggest court management companies out there that will be, announcing shortly. But the names, what they do, they manage the inside four walls. So they know the courts, they know the court availability, they have personnel, they have accounting, they have credit card processing, they run your pro shop, they run court maintenance. We don't do any of that. What we do is we take the available court inventory and put that on the market the same way Expedia takes room availability from a hotel and puts that on a market on a macro basis. But what's most unique is you have price and discovery and location on our app to find out where you want to play and then discover the pricing differential. So if I went on XYZ court and price was $50 an hour, and I wanted to book there, that's great. But maybe down the block, the same court is now $40 an hour. Why not save $10 on that court booking? So we're the only one to do that the same way we've all used, Expedia, OpenTable, Airbnb. We are able to compare and contrast different values. That's what we're bringing to the market for both the racket clubs and the consumer.
Kick it to Bobby because I've done a bunch of due diligence on this, so I already know my thoughts, and Bobby likes to hear this firsthand and give us an initial reaction. What's your knee-jerk reaction on this one, Bobby?
Knee jerk, obviously Atlanta, we're HOA driven, so we don't have the incentive of money. But I think from a tennis club perspective, I've been saying it for 5-6 years now, it's the future. And I love the idea of that. And I love the idea that the clubs are accepting it, if they're accepting it. I mean, because I think the clubs, a tennis specific club, in order to survive down here, needs to open it up. Hey, I got a couple hours available. Come on in and fill it. So I've been screaming for this since my days involvement with courts with a K, when we were trying to break into the market.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, the court owners love it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd say 90% of the conversations end, this is a no-brainer, right? Because it's a win-win. No court out there is used 100% of the time, right? It's just impossible to fill all 16 hours of the day, especially with multiple courts, right? If you have 10 courts at 16 hours a day, that's 160 hours, right? So maybe you're filled 80, 90% in peak, but only 10 to 20% in off peak. So we're taking your available courts. You still do your job. We're not competing with you. We're going to help you fill your off courts because there's two misnomers. One, people think that these clubs are membership club only, right? So it's gated there. And then the other one is it's painful to find a way to book the court, right? You have to make a phone call. You have to become a guest account. You just come on CourtsApp and you can search and discover in 3 clicks and book 1 click in your app. So we're really making it easier. So I'm happy you agree with Bobby. We didn't get into it right now.
Hey, question for you on is because I'd love to see it go one step. And as Shaun said, I don't know, it might already. One thing I pushed was for an open concept where you could, like, for the not just the courts, the club, but if the club had a drill that they wanted to get filled, because I think that would explode down here. I think the opportunity for people to see more than what is just in their neighborhood is I had people driving 45 minutes because they've learned about our drills. They did it once, enjoyed it, and start. So it was just a financial thing. They couldn't get there yet, but I would love to see that. And I think that's a home run as well.
Yeah. So V1 is court booking. And the idea around that is we need the product and we need the inventory to show people, right? So the same way when DoorDash started, they started in certain geographic areas, just like Uber started in San Francisco. It didn't pay to go out there and not have cars who could drive people in a given market. So we're focused on the Northeast right now, and we're rolling out throughout the country pretty rapidly. But from a product standpoint, it's court bookings, then it's going to be open play and open match, then it's going to be tournaments, lessons, clinics. We'll have getaways. So we'll have a whole robust suite of different e-commerce capabilities on the Racket court. But the whole thing is we're making it easy, right? We're making it easy. We're making it digestible. That is typically used. So you have a map view, right? So you can see how far you are, right? Because people care about price, obviously the sport. So not only do we do tennis, pickleball, paddle, squash, ping pong, and badminton. Time of day, right? Price and distance. Once you have those 4 factors, you can make the decision very easily. And we display that in an easy used interface, that just makes it really a lot simpler than having to go through all the, hurdles of booking a court these days.
Say something about the term perishable inventory, Daren, because our audience, especially if it's mostly tennis types, we don't think always in those types of terms of it actually being a product that has value that is then gone. We just think we always have a tennis court. You used that phrase recently, and I think you've posted about that as well. I wouldn't mind giving you a second to tell us about that, because I think that's something tennis types specifically, racket sports types, need to really understand about their facility.
100%. This was really the crux of this business model. Is court time is a perishable commodity, right? The same way an airline ticket is a perishable commodity, the same way a hotel room is a perishable commodity. The difference is court time becomes perishable every hour or every half hour, right? So right now we're approaching 2:00, Eastern Seaboard. Come 2:15, there's millions of dollars of courts that went unused. So why wouldn't you sell that inventory? And this is what we're helping also with dynamic pricing, right? Consumer behavior reacts based on price and availability, right? So why do hotels discount their rooms the day of? Because they know they're never going to make that money back. So they'd rather get 75 or 80 cents on the dollar than 0 cents on the dollar. That's just pure economics. So we're approaching it the same way and giving the facilities tools to discount their courts closer to that perishable time, right? Because I know right now it's 150, right? There are millions of dollars of courts that went wasted between 1 and 2:00 p.m., right? The average utilization between 12 and 4 is less than 20%. So 80% of the courts are being wasted. So why wouldn't you take those 80% of courts and 50%? You'd rather have 50 cents on the dollar than 0 cents on the dollar. So that's a big part of what we're bringing in, is just business rationale that we just don't think has been thought at and really focused on how to operate a business in an efficient manner, the same way a hotel operator does and the same way an airline does. And a consumer packaged good, as long as it doesn't spoil, could sit on the shelf for weeks. 2 o'clock reservation is only sitting there for an hour. Use it or lose it. And that's what we're trying to help do.
Bobby, I'm glad he said it because I'm going to crop that out and I'm going to send it to everybody we know.
And it goes back to what we were talking about yesterday, Shaun. See, this is a discussion I would give up my Friday morning to go listen to, because this is what tennis needs more of across the board, of getting a perspective outside that people don't think like this. And 5 years ago when when I started with the other, 90% of facilities didn't even have a reservation system. They were still taking it over the phone and with pencil and paper. So it's great to see that we're coming. Thankfully for COVID, everybody got a lot more receptive to the idea of doing it this way. And it's time. It's been time for some time. So it's interesting and it's great. And hopefully, again, I hope the clubs take advantage of it.
Well, they are. First, I started the company exactly a year ago. It took us about 6 months to build the demo. We started first selling to clubs mid-July. And as of this morning, we have 174 clubs, 1,800 courts on the app already. And, we just launched live, last month. So we're new, right? We're where we want to be. We want to be national. And then, we'll go international ultimately, particularly the Asian and European markets are booming. But it's a learning curve for the facilities. Like when we talk to them and explain it, and they look at us and shake their head and like, you're right, I get it. And that's why they keep saying this is a no-brainer. Like, why let the court time go? You're already paying for your real estate costs. You're already paying your taxes. You're already paying your insurance. The only way you make money is renting courts. So we're going to bring more people in. And not only are we bringing more people in on that given hour, it gives you a chance to upsell them and let them become a member. I mean, that's part of the beauty of what we're creating. The same way Expedia brings me to a Hilton hotel and has a chance to make me a member because it's a better experience than I have at Marriott. So, a lot of the business principles that have been well utilized in sophisticated and analytical businesses, we're bringing to the table to the racket sports and tennis industry. So we're really excited about it.
And Bobby, I'm happy when I first talked to Daren about kind of how the business integrates into the racket sports world. It's a relatively non-competitive conversation that he gets to have with everybody that's in the industry. And it's similar to what we do with GoTennis, similar to what we do with the American Racket Sports Association, that we're not out there saying, okay, well, yeah, we compete with this company and that company, but we do it better. It really is a nice system that doesn't have much competition, if any, in this industry, and works well with what's already established. Is that well put, Daren?
I think that's dead on. I look at it, we want to grow the games, right? I love tennis. I love pickleball. I'm starting to like paddle because it's a little bit more challenging. But it's about growing the game, right? And I use this phrase often: all boats rise in a rising tide. So if we're helping more people get on the court because it is less expensive, they're going to play more. And we all know how beautiful the game of tennis is and, pickleball and other sports. If you like the game, you're going to play more often. You're going to buy more goods. You're going to have more friends. You're going to start a community. So the whole idea is keep building the game and get people on the court, right? The same way, think of the travel industry. Everyone loves to travel. And that's what the airlines compete. But the more people that travel a year, you may use Delta, you may use United Airlines. We're just bringing people in and making the access easier. Because there's nothing more frustrating, right? When you make a phone call and you put on hold for 5 minutes and you can't get that court, right? Like, give me a break. I just want to go on an app, find a court, and I want to get out and play. We did a customer survey. We interviewed 2,000 people who play more than 10 times a year. Their number one complaint was booking. 74% of them said the most friction and the most annoyance they have is finding a booking a court. And that's silly, isn't it? That should be the easiest thing. The hardest thing should be a two-handed backhand.
That's well compared. I like that, Darren. Oh, that's good.
Issues with a two-handed backhand down the sideline, right?
Exactly. Two-hander down the line. Return a serve. Yeah, that's good. All right. So I love what's going on. I love the fact that it's a cooperative style business conversation to be able to say we come in and help together. We come in and help you. We work together. I love all that. And I definitely want to hear your king of racket sports. We're going to zoom out for that question next. Daren, did you have something specific you wanted to talk about before we ask our last question? Something you want to share? Any launches or anything exciting?
We have some exciting things happening. I mean, we're building the products. We just started literally advertising yesterday, and the response has been great. We're getting feedback. We're not perfect. Like no company is perfect initially, and maybe you're not perfect, years from now. But we're living and learning. We want feedback. We want to get as many courts on the system and users on the system. One other thing we're doing is a light social network, right? We're not going to be Facebook, but we're going to enable players to find players who want to play right at the same level. So we're calling it a closed and open network. I like to play with my dozen friends. I'll have those dozen people. I booked a court. I need 3. John, Paul, and Ringo. You guys want to play? Great. If I can't find 3, I'll open up to the market and say who's in proximity and wants to play. So we're trying to think about things a little bit differently. We're integrating lessons, like I said. We're integrating split fee. So the same way you share an Uber with your friends and it's $30, Bobby could pay 10, I pay 10, and Shaun pays 10, right? We're doing the things that make practical sense to make the user experience better and get out there and play. So that's really where we're going. And we're trying to have fun with it, and we definitely are. It's a fun industry and great people.
Fun is important. Bobby, you got anything for Daren before I hit him with the last question?
Real quick, when I know you said you're rolling out in phases, when do you anticipate going beyond tri-state? Where's next?
So next is the Eastern Seaboard in Florida, and we're already there, right? I mean, we try to get a court density of at least 1,000 courts in an area before we roll it out. So what we're trying to do is get court density of about 1,000 courts. We roll out a given market and go from there. So we're moving down the Eastern Seaboard into Florida and going from that standpoint. So we'll be all over the East Coast by the end of this quarter, and then we're going national through 2026.
Because I'm just interested to see how it plays out here. I really believe that we have an aging infrastructure. I mean, my facility is a perfect example. We're at the point where we should be redoing courts, and that costs money. It would be unheard of because they're amenities, but I do think that the HOAs down here should listen because it's something that it's not going to make anybody rich, but I think it can monetize it. It's a great way to advertise your neighborhood, and you're talking about property value more than anything else. So more exposure, the better off you're going to be. I do think it has a place here.
Yeah, listen, HOAs is interesting, right? If they'll allow outside people in, we could register them. We do register them online. We could put John Jones' name at the front gate, and they come in and they're renting it for $50 an hour. A tennis court, forget about a facility's tennis court is utilized, like I said, about 55-60% if you take all the hours of the day in. That's really the peak. Oh, no one gets much further than 60%. These are closer to 20%, right? Because just people are doing other things and it's not like in their area. We're also integrating backyard courts. Think of all the backyard courts around the country that just sit there empty. People allow you to sleep in their beds through Airbnb. Why would they let you play on that tennis court for $50 an hour?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want Bobby coming and sleeping on my couch or much less in my backyard on my tennis court. You never know. You got to put filters on these things, Daren.
Hey, that's between you guys. Bobby, you could play.
Thank you, Daren. Thank you.
Exactly. All right, cool. Daren, I appreciate your time. We both do. And we got a couple minutes. I just want to ask our final question, which I really love because it's so much fun to hear all the answers that we get. But in your case, I'm definitely very interested. And I'm going to zoom out to racket sports because you're not only tennis in this case. But the question is, if you were king of racket sports, whether it's the entire world or just New York or Florida, social, professional, whatever it is, if you were king of racket sports, is there anything you would do or change?
If there's anything I do or change, I would give you 3 serves, right? Instead of 2. Just give you like the first 2 you could try out, get the third one in. And I would just make court availability and ubiquity, easy. Right. And, the one thing that I would do, if I was king and I had that pot of gold, I would sprinkle the gold and improve the dilapidated courts we see around the country. Right? It breaks my heart driving through parts of New York City or other parts of urban markets. They don't have nets. The nets are fading. The lines you can't see. So, it's something meaningful to us of giving back. And if I was king, I'd sprinkle my gold around my kingdom and get the courts, going. But that takes time. It takes money. It takes expertise. So that's something we plan on doing also with CourtsApp is, giving back and helping people. So it's not all about just making money. It's about filling courts for the facilities, making it easier for players to get on there, and then making it more fair for everyone to get out there and play the games we love.
That's fantastic. Maybe we can connect CourtsApp with the GoTennis Foundation and create an initiative for what you guys are working on. That we can do a nonprofit target for fixing up some tennis courts, and maybe
No.
that's a good fit.
That would be fantastic. I mean, listen, that's what it's about. I say this all the time. It's about having fun and loving what you do. And I'm thankfully at that position of life that I could do both. The stress that comes with it, like anything else, but it's fun. I'm involved in a game that people love, and the game of tennis, you say love pretty often.
Again, well referenced. I appreciate it. Well, Daren, thank you so much for your time. Again, we appreciate you coming to tell us what CourtsApp is doing. We'll put all the information in the show notes, and we'll make sure we promote everything to the best of our ability. Bobby, thank you for making the time, of course, and glad you're back inside a little bit. It's cold here in the Atlanta area. Daren, I appreciate it again. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Daren.
Great day. Thanks a lot, guys.